Welcome to Across the Ring. My name is William Mayhem Michael.
And this is Carl, the scientist Schrepfer. And here with us today is Brittnie Brooks. Welcome to the show.
Hi, how are you guys?
We're doing good. So,
Awesome.
Brittnie, I got to catch your show today at AWF Reckoning. Obviously, we know that you started training for pro wrestling at a pretty young age. What age did you start, and how was balancing wrestling and school for you?
Oh my gosh. So I started wrestling when I was 14 years old, 15. I started in a kids class and like I learned like super basic stuff, but like it was never like, oh, like a match was within reach. It was kind of more so like fun. Because I just loved it so much and I really wanted to do it and be around it. And then eventually I worked my way up to the adult class, me and this other girl. And we ended up like wrestling on shows after that. So my first match was in 2020, right before COVID. Like I had a different look, a different name, and everything. And so after that, there was no wrestling for like a year until 2021. So then in 2021, I wrestled all for AWF like almost every single month. I would say like maybe 10 matches. And that was like the only promotion I did. And then in 2022, I started the year out strong. And then um, like I got injured. We could probably end up talking about that later. But now I'm back and I returned in December. And like ever since then, I've been, traveling and doing all that. And it's hard with school because I'm a senior right now. So I go to high school and college at the same time. So I am like dual enrolled. So this May, I'm going to be graduating from high school, but then I'm also going to be graduating from community college. So it does get a little difficult, like whenever I'm gone for weekends. Like this past weekend, I had to miss school because I wrestled in El Paso, and I rode up there on Friday, and so I missed school. But like it does get challenging, especially with a lot of weekends coming up. Like obviously it's WrestleMania weekend this weekend, and I'm going to be doing like shows in LA, so I have to make sure that like my grades are on it and like I'm not letting them slip too much to the point where like I don't get to graduate. But like I've always had like straight A's and everything, so we're chilling.
Yeah,
That's awesome. So, you're talking about, the pandemic and stuff like that. Obviously that impacted a lot of stuff. I'm sure, it impacted your school as well. How did you um kind of work through all that? Were you still training? Were you just doing school? What kind of happened around that?
But when the lockdown shut down everything, we didn't train for a while just to keep everybody safe. And then I think we opened back up in October, but I could be wrong. But I don't remember. I think we opened the school back up, like the wrestling school back up. But I stayed home from school until the second half of my sophomore year. So I was off the rest of so we were home for about a year. So like it was second semester sophomore year that we finally like came back to school. And then last year was my junior year. And we got to go to like regular school and then also wrestling school and stuff.
Wow, that's quite a lot. So, so how do you manage, between, you're going to school for two schools and you're wrestling
two schools.
And I have a job.
Yeah, okay, and a job. How do
Oh
you balance all that to be able to make it through all of your commitments?
Oh, it gets rough. I have a calendar on my phone that I literally put everything in, and like sometimes if I forget something, then it just stresses me out. Like today, for example, I forgot that I had said yes to like three interviews, I think, and I was like, well, I can't do this one because I have practice. It gets overwhelming sometimes, but like, um, but I try to keep a grasp on my homework. It's kind of like to me easy. The easiest part is school, but I feel like I don't spend enough time on school because I want to spend more time on wrestling. Especially with like graduation coming up, I'm getting that senioritis like crazy. Like I just want to be done, and so like anything I can do to like stay away from school is honestly like better. But I just make sure I'm paying attention to all my due dates and doing all of it. It helps that like for my high school classes, I get out at 10 a.m. So it's not too hard. And then for my college classes, I only have them Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I'm only there until like 1:30. So then I work on Tuesday, Thursday at my job, from like 2:30 to 11. And then on Monday, Wednesday, I go to the wrestling school after school. So I go to wrestling school from like 6 to like 10. So that's like that, those. And then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, sometimes I have shows, sometimes I'm traveling to shows. Or I pick up a shift. Like yesterday, I picked up a shift because I already had my 2 other shows for that.
Holy
So it sounds
crap.
like you don't ever sleep then.
Oh my gosh, there was actually, yeah, yeah. So Thursday night, I went to sleep at like 2 a.m. and had to wake up at 6 so I can meet up in Tucson with Chubby Depp and Ricky Reyes so we can ride to Pro Wrestling Legacy in El Paso. So we rode there, wrestled a match, drove home, and we got back to Tucson. So then I had a 2-hour drive home from that, and it was like 6 or 7 in the morning when I came home. And then I slept for 2 or 3 hours, went to the gym, and then went to the AWF show. So
Oh wow. Yeah, that's definitely a full schedule. I thought I had a full schedule with work, the podcast, and I'm going to school as well. And I'm just like, I'm pulling out my hair, so I can't even imagine how you feel at this point.
and then after the AWF show, I went home and slept for like 3 hours. Then I woke up and went to work yesterday.
Oh my
But
Wow.
when I got home last night from work at like 5 p.m., I literally slept from 6 p.m. to like 7 a.m. this morning because I was like, I need to catch up on sleep because
oh
then
my
I'm going
gosh.
crazy again today.
So I know earlier you just mentioned that you're going to be in LA. The wife and I
Yay.
are heading to LA for WrestleMania. We
Yay.
got tickets for CGW and for the Indies Hall of Fame.
Dope. Okay.
What are you going to be partaking in LA?
On Thursday, I'm going to Lucha Wrestling Perdoso. I
I
don't
saw
know how to
that.
say it. I feel like I'm gonna say it wrong. But I'm doing that show on Thursday night. And then Friday, I'm doing WrestleCon 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. And then Saturday is nothing. So I'm hoping to like fill that with just maybe attending shows. I really want to go to the beach. And then Sunday, I'm doing second wrestling for the pre-show, the Mitzvah Mania. I'm doing that one. It's like at 9 in the morning. It's before WrestleMania. So yeah, I'm super excited. It's my first Mania weekend. I
Yeah,
feel like
that's
that I've attended or wrestled on or anything. Like I've never been like even near WrestleMania. So that is really fun and I'm
I
so
mean,
excited.
it's my first WrestleMania too, so I'm super excited. But
Yay!
that's crazy. You're so young, and like you said, you're still in high school. You're attending community college, and you've already wrestled on AEW Dark. Like
Yes.
that's so phenomenal. Now we know you started at such a young age, and we noticed that when you actually started, you were actually wearing braces. Like, how was
Yes.
that for you? And was there any precautions that you had to take doing that?
So like my dentist, we told my dentist that I wore a mouth guard, but I did not want to wear a mouth guard because I was like, I'm not gonna wear a mouth guard. Like there's no way. But I was just cautious of it. Like nothing really. I mean, I would always like scrape up my lips or get like fat lips and stuff in training, especially when we were doing like chain wrestling. But I never really got like anything. But now my teeth are like, I feel like they're shifting a little bit again, but like whatever. But yeah, when I finally got them off, I felt so free. I was like, oh my God, I finally look like a normal person and I don't look 5 anymore.
I
That's
think.
awesome.
Go ahead, Carl. Sorry.
Yeah. So, starting at a young age, balancing school, dealing with braces, how was it with, how does it work with like you and like, your friends at school? Like, do you find like, what do they kind of talk about, when it comes to like your pastimes?
It's so funny because they always are like, oh my God, like, how was this week? Like, literally, I went to school this morning and everybody was like, how was El Paso? And I was like, it was fun. And they're like, I saw you got tournaments with tape. I was like, yeah. And then I like, at work the other day, I was wearing like a short sleeve shirt and they're like, what happened to your arm? I was like, I got hit with a kendo stick. So it's just like, it's really cool to them because nobody's really doing that, especially at my school. Like, we don't have sports because they pay for us to go to community college. So we don't
Mhm.
have like sports or anything. So like it's kind of rare to find like an athletic person, and so like it's really cool. And like some of my best friends they think it's like the coolest thing ever. And my best friend, he's really into TikTok. So he's always like, you need to grow your brand through TikTok. Yeah, it's a really good platform, especially like I have a very short attention span too. So like I have like, okay, how will this video look? I gotta make it short. I gotta make it. So I've been doing a lot of like routines or like vlogs when I go to shows. That's what I've been really into right now, because I love like watching people do it. And I'm like, what if we bring wrestling into it? Like that would be really cool, because people don't know like independent. A lot of the times people don't even know that independent wrestling is a thing. Like they just think it's like WWE. I mean, I didn't even know what indie wrestling was until like I started training. I didn't know that people had shows and stuff. So like I'm like, okay, let's get this out to people. Like let's get people to remember the name.
And that's
go ahead.
That's the whole purpose of this show, is to promote indie wrestling. We want to get it out there. There's not a lot of podcasts that focus on indie wrestling, let alone actually interviewing with the wrestlers, the referees, the managers, the valets, and getting their name out there, because of course we want to promote ourselves, but we want to promote you guys as well. We want it to be a positive thing to where everybody can, you know, see and hear that might not have that chance.
Yeah,
For
exactly.
Sure.
Yeah,
and I really appreciate that.
Well, we're glad that you're here to, you know, be a part of our journey. So, you know, you talk about, you know, you didn't know about indie wrestling for, you know, a long time until you started training. You know, we noticed like, it seems like you've been a fan from a young age. When did you first get into, you know, being a fan of wrestling, and how'd that come about?
So one day I just like went into my brother's room. I was like 5 years old. I went into my brother's room and I was like, what are you watching? He's like, I'm watching WWE. I saw dad watching it. And I was like, okay. He had like a bigger TV than I did. So, and it was SmackDown. And so I just started watching it. And then I saw him watching it the next week and the next week. And then I just started watching it every week. And then we didn't even know that there were pay-per-views. So like one day we just found out there were like, I think the first pay-per-view I ever watched was WrestleMania 28.
Oh wow.
It was The Rock versus John Cena.
Oh yeah. That was a good WrestleMania.
Yeah. And it was the one where The Rock, I think The Rock won, and like I just remember John Cena sitting on the like his all like all upset like on the on the ramp, and I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. I love this. And so I instantly just became obsessed with it, and like I went to my first ever WWE show at the Footprint Center. It used to not be called that, but it was Raw, and it was the Raw when Daniel Bryan, he spray painted yes all over Randy Orton's like his like SUV. It was like a black SUV that they bought him, and I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. And yeah, it was 2013. It was August 27th, 2013. That was my first ever WWE show that I went to. And it's kind of crazy to me that like I got to wrestle in the Footprint Center. That was the big, like I was like, this is so unreal.
The come to circle moment for you. Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, this is the wildest thing I've ever experienced. But like,
and I was in attendance for that match because you were with Miss May, and I don't want to say the other girl's name wrong, but I follow her as well. It was like, it was just crazy because when I was in line, the person right in front of me was Paradox.
Oh really?
Yeah, and that's how I got into AWF and meeting everybody. Because we were sitting there talking. He was handing out the card for Triumph. And that's when we started talking. He's like, yeah, some of our people are wrestling today. And I'm like, no way. And he's like, yeah. So it was really cool.
That is so cool. Yeah, I'm actually going to Raw tonight to do the same thing, to hand out for our shows, for our next show.
Awesome.
So,
that is pretty sweet. Yeah, I know as like a fan, you know, it's really cool. Like, you know, as someone that goes to indie wrestling shows here in Milwaukee, that when, you know, different, you know, companies come to town and, you know, local people get a chance to wrestle on something like Dark, it's really exciting as a fan too, to be like, oh, like I saw them, you know, when there's 100 people and now there's thousands of people. I can only imagine from your point of view, it is, you know, even more spectacular to, you know, be in the ring around that many people.
Yeah, it was wild. Like, I remember when I got drop kicked out of the ring, I was like, ow. But because at the very end, DeMonte drop kicked me out of the ring, and I fell out and like fell on the ground. And I was just like, ow, but like, look at all these people. And I was like really trying to take it in, because Aiden Colt, he is from Texas. He was on Dark like 2 weeks before I was.
Aiden,
and,
yeah. Yeah.
And he was like, make sure you take it in. And I was like, yeah. Like, I'll take it in. He's like, take it in. And so like that was all I can think about. Like when I got out there, I was so nervous. And I feel like that really, you could see that in the video. Like when I watched it back now, I was like, I didn't even like, when they announced us, I was just like, I was just like holding my arms out. And I was like, and then I moved us to the other corner. And I feel like I was just like so nervous. But I wanted to take it in. And that was like, I just looked around and I was like, I just wrestled in front of all of these people. Like that's absolutely wild to think about.
And I think a lot of people actually remembered you, Brittnie. I mean, I thought that, I mean, it was a really good crowd here in Phoenix. It was insane. And to me, like, I knew you were young. I just didn't know you were young enough that you were still in high school. Like, that's insane. But it's phenomenal. But going through your Instagram, one of the perceptions that we have was that, which is at the Brittnie Brooks on Instagram. Just a short plug there. That you have a lot of different interests like Disney and your kind of nerd fandom. Like, how has that influenced your wrestling?
Oh my God. So like, I love Disney. And like, that's another thing. When I go to Cali this weekend, I really want to go to downtown Disney. I'm obsessed with Disney. Like, I feel like for a long time, I was obsessed with wrestling and I still am, but it's in a different way. It's like, I want this for my life. I'm going to work as hard as I can to get it to this point. And it's not to the point where it's like, oh, it's a job. It's like, oh, it's my passion. It's my love. It's my career. To the point where like, okay, like I need something to like be a super fan about and like be a fan about. So I'm like a big Disney fan. I love Marvel. I love Star Wars. And like, I'm just so nerdy. It's super funny. Like, but yeah, and I'm really into working out too. Like I'm literally at my gym right now. But no, I just love being around like things that make me happy. And like wrestling is the biggest thing, the most important thing in my life. But like my fan outlet is definitely Disney and Marvel and Star Wars. But it's been a while since I've watched anything because I've just been so busy. Like I haven't even watched the new Mandalorian, which I really wanted to do. But yeah, I'm like behind on all the things.
I haven't started on Mandalorian yet just because I am one of those people I have to wait till the very last episode is completely done. And then
watch it all.
Yeah, watch it all. That's how I am.
I love that.
As a big Star Wars fan, when you're in the ring, you got like a kendo stick and stuff like that. Are you thinking that you're a Jedi Knight or?
I was thinking that, and like somebody said, like, get your lightsaber, and I was like, bro, if I could, I was like getting beat up, and I heard someone yell like, grab your lightsaber, and I was like, ah.
That's awesome.
That was really cool. I learned how to do. Well, I wanted so like. I saw this TikTok. I used to watch like a ton of Star Wars TikToks, and like I saw they would always do the lightsaber spin. So I was trying to get it down with the kendo stick, but I couldn't really figure it out. But I was like, okay, like how do we turn this? But
there's a woman on TikTok that is absolutely phenomenal with lightsaber work. Have you seen her? I can't remember her name right off the bat.
Is it Hannah?
It might be Hannah, but she's insane.
I think I followed her.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure I know who you're talking about. But because it was like last summer during the quarantine, I was just obsessed with Star Wars TikTok. Like it was all I'd watch all day.
So you've been to Disney before? I'm assuming since we're so close. So did you hit up Savvy's and build your own?
No, I didn't. My brother
done that
did.
Yet? Oh my gosh.
I haven't.
I got mine. I got mine behind me right there at the window.
I love that. I wanted the Anakin Skywalker one, but all they had was Rey's Reforged one, so it has like a thing on it, but like I do have that one and I love it. I'm like, but my brother built his own, and so like the first time I went to Disney, like after like since Galaxy's Edge was there, I went to Disney's World in March of 2021. I think, yeah, it was like because it opened before Disneyland. So I went and I couldn't build my own because I couldn't fly it back. So I went then, and then I've been like 6 times in the past like 2 years. It's so bad. But every time I go, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do it next time. So maybe the next time I just need to do it because I'm like, I spent so much money to be here. I might as well just like.
Honestly, it's the experience. Your brother's done it, but the experience of building it's pretty dope.
Okay.
Plug for Disney, but yeah.
There you go. I think too they'll ship it for you too if you feel like you can't, fly it. So,
they will. Mm-hmm.
Dang, okay.
Yeah, they figured out every way to get you to spend your money on them. So they're not going to have any sort of barrier between you and your money. So
That's
Fun
right.
for Disney, but they take your money.
yes, there's a cost to the fun. Yeah. So kind of talking about your career and ambitions, like where do you see yourself kind of going next? Like what are some of your next goals in terms of your wrestling career?
So some of my biggest goals are to get on FSW in Vegas. They have like an incredible show. I want to do Mission Pro, Thunder Rosa's all women's wrestling.
Yeah.
I want to do I want to get to New York in some facet and Florida and all that. I just want to go everywhere. I want to, there was one that I really wanted to mention, but I can't remember right now. Oh my God. But no, and like definitely AEW again, and like WWE, just getting a tryout, like working to being so good that like I can get a tryout, or get a dark match on WWE. That's like a huge thing. I want to go back to Rocky Mountain Pro because they were just incredible. I do want to get on Championship Wrestling from Hollywood,
Yeah.
because they used to have a Championship Wrestling from Arizona, but they don't have that anymore. But I do want to get to Hollywood, and then just literally everywhere. Like I want to wrestle anywhere and everywhere, especially now that like school's about to be over. I think I have like 8 more weeks, and then I can finally start like turning this into my life, which like I feel like I kind of did. Yeah. So
That's awesome. That's awesome. So it sounds like, right now you're kind of, staying local, kind of grinding it out with school. And then as soon as that freedom is there, you're going to be all over the country, and we should be watching for you come to our local shows.
I want to do OVW because I know that's like on the Ohio Valley Wrestling.
But yeah, OVW, Memphis, all that area over there is really good. I've never hit a show in Florida. I know, Carl, aren't you planning on heading to Chicago for a show before too long?
Yeah, I'm hoping to. I'm gonna be in Chicago for a comic convention, but yeah, I'm definitely hoping. I always catch like all the shows in Chicago and Milwaukee. You definitely should come here. I think people will be a fan of you. So if you ever come through, well, people will be excited to see you. That's for sure. So,
dude, I am down to wrestle any and everywhere. Like I have been hitting up promotions like crazy, and sometimes I get left on red, but it's okay. I'm still a nobody, so I totally understand it. But I'm like so determined to like one day not be,
Yeah, absolutely. Keep pushing. One thing I'm aware of that I keep seeing like in videos is you do a lot of intergender matches.
Yes.
And you hold your own with these boys. Like it ain't no joke. So I was gonna say, how did you get into that fold, and like when was your first intergender match? Jeez, I need to learn how to speak.
Well, I train with all guys, so that kind of helps. There's occasionally some women that come through, they show up, but I mostly train with like all guys, and so it gets normal, like to the point where like I'm shocked that some places don't have intergender matches, because I'm like, I feel like you could tell such a good like story through that. But I think the first one was actually with Paradox, and it was like one of my favorite matches because I literally hit a Frankensteiner, I hit Hurricane Rana, I like hit some really cool stuff, but like I was super unconfident and unsure that I could do, but no, it was a lot of fun.
That is incredible. So, I think too, like, so your latest match was in a cage, right?
Yes.
So how often do you end up doing these, more extreme of matches, and, where do you kind of draw that line in terms of what you're willing to do with stuff like that?
That was my first one I've ever done. I've never been like asked to do, I've never been offered to like do any type of like match where it's like with weapons or like with cage or anything. So like that was my first one.
And they broke the cage. And they broke the cage.
I think I could tell. I thought I was about to fall out because I was holding onto the rope for dear life.
Yeah.
Like, oh, shit.
Yes, I was actually recording. I have that video. I think I just posted it on Instagram. I got it where Moxie throws himself against you and the cage breaks. And what was crazy is my daughter was on that side of the cage recording up on the cage. And I haven't seen that. I haven't seen that footage yet because she's been at her friend's since that night. She does a lot of video and pictures for me as well.
Oh,
And
dope.
I can't wait to see how that turned out because she's like, they almost killed me. I'm like, yeah.
I felt so bad because those cages are expensive.
Oh yeah.
That's part of the business, though. You know,
Yeah.
you made for a good show. So, do you think after that experience, you'll want to do that kind of stuff again, or is that more of a
100%. It was fun. I was really scared that I was gonna get hurt, but I was like, F it, we ball. It's another like edge to my character, I guess. And like it's another match that I could be like, oh yeah, I've done a cage match. Like it kind of takes the fear away now that I've experienced it at least once. And I actually felt oddly comfortable. Like I don't know, because like I felt like people were watching, but like less people were watching because like the walls were high. I don't even know. But like it's not like I'm scared of like being in front of people. It's just like I felt way more comfortable that I was surrounded by something. I don't know. It's probably weird.
It's like your safety blanket.
Yeah.
But you guys were beating the hell out of each other with those kendo sticks.
Yeah. I got some welts on my arm right here. Not fun.
Wow. So it sounds like then we should be watching out for you as a cage match specialist touring the country. So we'll have to watch out for that.
Oh my goodness. Maybe not that, but
So we had you you did mention some of the shows you got coming up. Do you have any other ones that are kind of like a little bit further out for you? Like I know that we have Ascension coming up. Are you going to be on that card?
oh yes, I will be. So I'll be okay. Let me give you a rundown of my weekends. So like I said, I have Mania weekend this week. And then next week I will be in San Antonio, Texas. I'm going to the first ever, I think that's what it's called. That's the brand. Yes, that's the company, the first ever. And then that's in San Antonio. And then the next week I am at Dive Wrestling in Utah. So I'm at Dive Wrestling, and then I come back and I'm going to Venue Entertainment. That's the next day. So April 15th is Utah and Dive, and then April 16th is California with Venue, and then the week after that is Ascension in Arizona. But the day before Ascension, I will be at an all women's lucha show, and that's ROW, I believe. It's called, oh my gosh, I just have so many companies right now that I really can't keep them straight, and I feel really bad.
I didn't realize how many there were that were in our area between like Mexico, New Mexico, Texas, Cali, Arizona, Oklahoma, all these like really close areas, and Vegas obviously.
Yes,
but there's so many out there.
Vegas was a lot of fun.
That's definitely good for that's good for listeners to know that, like, you know, the fact that you can't even remember all the different companies you have to work for,
which is so bad, and I'm really, really, really sorry about that.
No, I think that's just a testament to just how much there's out there that fans need to know that, hey, like there are so many wrestling companies, you can't even name them all. Like people should be, you know, look it up. You know, these things, you know, events are on Facebook, you know, what have you. There's plenty of wrestling for people to be watching.
I have this shirt from Collar and Elbow. It says support your local wrestler, and it is like my favorite shirt because like there's wrestling everywhere, and especially in like Texas, like there's so much wrestling in Texas. I've wrestled, I think, well, I'm gonna be wrestling obviously in a couple of weeks, and that'll be 3 shows that I've had in Texas, not even for the same promotion. Like there's so many, and there's so many more that I want to do. So yeah.
So if you're in Texas, definitely watch out because you're gonna be coming for them.
Oh yeah, follow me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I always post like where I am. It is RMW Lucha Libre. RMW Lucha Libre. It's in Oxnard, California. That is the 21st, and then the 22nd is back in Arizona for Ascension. So yeah.
To the end of our interview today, Brittnie, what is the pitch for fans to come out and see you?
I think that everybody should come out and see me because I don't wrestle like most people. Like I definitely have my own style, and I love this, and I'm so passionate about it. It's the point where like I literally have eat, sleep, breathe wrestling right now. And like, I want this so bad. And I think that one day I will make it, and I'm so determined. I'm so determined to make it. So I actually posted something on Instagram not too long ago where I said, watch me now because you're not going to want to hop on the bandwagon later. And that is so true, because I feel like I am getting out there more, and I'm wanting to wrestle more, and I want to wrestle everyone and everywhere. And I just get on the bandwagon now because you're not going to want to later. But yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Brittnie. I know that me and Cara are both already fans, so we're going to be following you. I want to thank you so much, everyone, for listening. And thank you, Brittnie Brooks, for being on the show with us. And I just want to remind everybody, you never know who's right across the ring.